Right now, on to the point. Increasing the city of Sacramento's sales tax.
A proposal could raise Sacramento's local sales tax by 0.5% for safer roads. But would voters approve a tax increase? Why, one critic says no.
A new warning of a possible Iranian drone strike in California. What investigators are saying tonight. The governor's return to work deadline is approaching, but unions are pushing back. Why state workers want to make telework permanent. And inflation is holding steady, but warning signs ahead. What you pay at the pump and at the store could change again. A group of Sacramentans is fighting for safer roads. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. They are doing it in the form of a ballot initiative that would raise the local sales tax by 0.5%. ABC 10's Becca Hotbecker joins us now in studio with more on this effort.
Alex, Sacramento ranks worst among the state's 15 largest cities for speed-related crashes. That's according to the latest data from the California Office of Traffic Safety. A group of Sacramentans wants to do something about it, but that takes money.
It's unacceptable to be the worst city in California, which is typically worse than other parts of the country because we have so many people.
Steve Cohn is co-chair of the Safer Sac Streets campaign, which submitted the City of Sacramento Safe Streets and Affordable Transit Measure of 2026 to the city clerk, which has approved it for signature gathering.
This measure would help fund safety improvements.
Sacramento's sales tax is currently 8.75%. That's below the statewide average across all cities of 8.96%. It was last raised 7 years ago by 0.5 cent after voters passed an update to Measure U. If the Safer Sac Streets measure qualifies for the ballot and passes, Sacramento's sales tax would increase to 9.25%. About 40% of cities in California already have sales tax rates at or above that level, with 2 cities in LA County reaching as high as 11.25%. The state-required minimum sales tax in California is 7.25%.
It's about 70 to 75 million a year to start. It'd probably go up if the economy gets better, but that's a lot of money just for the city of Sacramento.
As he and the campaign's website explain, about half the funds will be spent on safer streets, like pothole repair, sidewalk and bike lane improvements. About half will fund safer, faster transit, ensuring more frequent and reliable bus and light rail service within city limits. And the rest will fund independent oversight and transit-oriented housing infrastructure. The measure says the funds cannot be used for other purposes. But would voters have the appetite to approve a 0.5 cent sales tax increase? I spoke with John Kupal of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. He says he doesn't think so.
Any discussion of additional taxes in California is going to run into some strong headwinds.
He calls a sales tax highly regressive.
It doesn't fall that hard on the ultra wealthy because they don't spend a lot of their revenue on disposable consumer goods. But if you get into the working poor and middle class, obviously a sales tax increase hits them disproportionately harder.
He urges voters to reject it. Cohn says as the city is facing a major budget shortfall, it needs this transportation safety money more than ever.
It's enough when you combine with state, federal, private investment can really make a difference over time.
The group has until mid-June to get the approximately 30,000 signatures needed to qualify for the November ballot.
The campaign is holding an official kickoff meeting this Sunday afternoon and will begin collecting signatures after that. If they're successful in getting on the November ballot, the measure would require a simple majority to pass. The new tax would go into effect April 2027.
A warning tonight of a possible Iranian drone threat in California. ABC News reported the warning that came from the FBI at the end of February. The FBI reportedly warned California police departments recently about potential retaliation involving Iran launching drones at the West Coast. The FBI's warning did not say how or when vessels with attack drones could get close enough to the U.S. However, officials have long been concerned about pre-positioned equipment on land or on ships at sea in the event Israel or the U.S. struck Iran. We talked to a former FBI agent who points out that the media release from the FBI was carefully worded.
They said it could occur. And I think if the FBI had more positive information or positive intelligence, that warning would be much more serious.
Governor Newsom today also addressed the concerns.
Drone issues have been always top of mind, and we've assembled some work groups specifically around those concerns. But that's all I'll share at the moment.
The Office of Emergency Services shared a statement on the issue saying in part, quote, the Cal OES Homeland Security Team is in regular coordination with the federal, state, and local partners, sharing information on potential threats as part of security efforts. Californians should know that this kind of coordination happens every day to keep people safe. New tonight, President Donald Trump authorized the Department of Energy to release 172 million barrels of oil from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve next week. This is an effort to lower gas and oil prices during the war in Iran. Also today, the Pentagon told Congress the first week of the Iran war cost the U.S. $11.3 billion. In the Middle East, there are new attacks on the Dubai International Airport, oil facilities, and commercial ships traveling near the Strait of Hormuz. The United States says that it has destroyed mine-laying Iranian vessels, as President Trump, in an interview today, reiterated his stance that the war with Iran will end soon. You know that the Strait of Hormuz, which is one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, has effectively come to a halt, experts saying, with almost no oil or shipping cargo coming through. And in your price points tonight, energy prices, including gasoline, increased in February before strikes on Iran sent oil prices soaring. That's according to the latest inflation report from the federal government. Karen Kaifa has a look at the other ups and downs and also what's next.
Inflation held steady last month, according to government data released Wednesday. But economists warn a long conflict in Iran could push future prices higher.
If the conflict drags on and we start to see price increases in other consumer goods because of the increase in energy that increases the cost of production for the producers, then I think consumers are going to feel it in their pocketbooks a lot more.
Annual inflation was unchanged in February at 2.4%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The report's uptick in energy and gasoline prices between January and February didn't even account for the recent spike at the pumps now, because the February data was compiled before the U.S. and Israel struck Iran on February 28th. Aixa Diaz of AAA says spring is already a time of year when gas prices typically climb.
Springtime is when you've got spring break travelers, you've got gasoline demand going up, the weather's getting nicer, more people want to get out. And also summer blend gasoline will hit the market soon, and that's a more expensive blend of gasoline.
February's inflation report also showed overall increases in the cost of shelter and food. Highly imported goods feeling the impact of President Donald Trump's tariffs, like apparel, household furnishings, and coffee, and medical care. The state of the overall economy may depend upon how much price pressure consumers can take.
Economists have been surprised before at how robust consumer spending is. So I think the impact of sort of this inflationary run on consumer spending would be a little bit more unpredictable, in my opinion.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
2 school districts, hundreds of teachers, the strikes continuing in the region with no solution yet. And California state workers are facing the July return to office deadline, but not without pushback. What's at stake for thousands of employees and the state's budget?
And we are beginning a warm up, and it's not just spring-like weather that we're going to see. We're talking summer-like temperatures, 25 degrees warmer than normal. I'm going to look at the forecast after the break.
But first, in other headlines tonight, a Sacramento mother who has lived in the United States for nearly 30 years is suing the federal government. Maria de Jesus Estrada Juarez filed the lawsuit today, claiming she was deported despite having protections under the DACA program. She was deported to Mexico after her lawyer said she appeared for an immigration appointment in Sacramento as instructed. She's looking to return to the United States. A massive tornado ripped through Illinois yesterday evening. It's part of a widespread outbreak of severe weather across the central U.S. Hail also fell, some of it reportedly more than 5 inches in diameter, which could set records. And former Vice President Kamala Harris has canceled her Golden One Center appearance and other California events due to a scheduling conflict. She's been on a book tour and was set to appear in Sacramento on April 4th. Tickets bought through Ticketmaster will be refunded within the next few weeks. Well, it's not summer yet, but man, these temperatures coming right around the corner are starting to feel like it. Let's get a look at our weather with meteorologist Brendan Chef.
Yeah, we're just skipping the spring season, essentially. We're going straight from winter into summer. 74 today in Sacramento, 76 in Stockton, 75 in Modesto, 68 Placerville, and low 60s in the high country. Those temperatures in the valley, about 8 degrees warmer than normal. Tomorrow, though, we are near 80 across the valley and delta. Record heat is ahead for part of the weekend and into next week, potentially even setting some morning records as well. And we could also be looking at our first ever March 90-degree day next week. We've never had 90 degrees in March, records going back to 1878. 73 in Sacramento right now, 73 in Stockton, 72 Modesto, 64 Placerville, mid to upper 50s in the high country. Looking towards the Tower Bridge, 73 degrees is 3 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago, and we've got a little bit of a wind out of the west-northwest, about 10 miles per hour. Through the next several hours, temperatures will drop into the 50s, and we'll start off tomorrow morning in the 40s. So another mild night with lows about where we'd expect them to be for this time of the year. But it's a totally different story when we're talking about high temperatures. Highs are going to be near 80 tomorrow, so the warmest day of the year for now, but we could say that about the next day and the day after that and the day after that, because temperatures are only going up. So near 80 tomorrow and Friday, but then we're in the low to mid 80s on Saturday, mid to upper 80s on Sunday, upper 80s to near 90 degrees on Monday. Temperatures are going to be about 20 to 25 degrees warmer than normal for next week, and it's all because high pressure is building in. And it's not just going to be impacting Northern California, but Southern California, the desert Southwest, all the way in towards parts of Texas and Colorado could be looking at record high temperatures through next week. So we've got a weather impact alert here at home beginning on Sunday because of the record March heat. Be ready for hot days that we have not seen since October. You see some of the record high temperatures here in the navy blue. All these temperatures are in the low 80s. Look at the forecast highs, upper 80s and low 90s. And some of the morning temperatures, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, going to be near 60 degrees. So an extended stretch of very warm weather. Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break, the California primary is less than 3 months away. Tonight, a new look at who's leading the race for California's next governor. And then the community of West Roseville is growing. Later in the show, we're going to give you a preview of our half-hour special highlighting new businesses, housing, and the challenges. Welcome back in. Hundreds of teachers at 2 different school districts continue their strikes tonight. Natomas Unified School educators walked off the job yesterday with no clear return date. They say that they want to make sure educators can afford to stay and work in Natomas. Happening right now, this is a live look at the Natomas Unified School Board district meeting. The public was invited to make comments and address any agenda items. Teachers and the public have been at the meeting. Their union says that they are ready to return to contract negotiations. The district has proposed a 4% salary increase, improvements to health benefits, and the option for a fully funded health care plan. We will have more on the latest coming up on Late News tonight at 11 from that meeting. All right, over at Twin Rivers Unified, day 5 of their teacher strike wrapped up with no deal between the district and the teachers union. After last night's contentious school board meeting, a large rally was held at the district office as talks between the union and district resumed today. California Assembly member Maggie Krell was also at the bargaining table today, urging them to reach an agreement, but no agreement was made. That strike is expected to resume tomorrow at 8 a.m., something we are continuing to follow. All right, California unions and Governor Gavin Newsom have been at odds over a return to work mandate following pushback after issuing a mandate last year. Newsom temporarily pushed back the timeline. ABC's 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh has the details for us tonight.
Why do workers need to come into the office if we're not addressing things like parking, commute costs, and safe workplaces?
SEIU Local 1000, the largest public sector union in California, representing nearly 100,000 state employees, is trying to make remote work a permanent option.
What we've seen work over the last few years, and that is that the job could be done remotely.
And so you're saying even for agencies like yours that said we can't do telework, you're saying COVID kind of proved that it is in fact possible.
It absolutely showed that it is in fact possible.
In addition to full-time telework, the union is proposing free workplace parking for all state employees, a daily stipend of $25 for those who live far away from public transit, and a monthly stipend of $500 for those in high-crime worksite locations.
Do you have an estimate as to how much that would cost the state, though, additionally?
I don't. maybe, lessen the hundreds of millions of dollars that they would be saving with telework.
Walls referring to a report by the state auditor's office that says telework can generate significant cost savings for the state when employees work remotely 3 or more days a week.
State workers' salaries are directly tied to the budget, even though we are less than 3% of the budget. It does save taxpayers money, it reduces traffic and pollution, and it helps keep experienced workers.
In response, the California Department of Human Resources says it, quote, respects the confidentiality of the bargaining process and does not speak on ongoing negotiations. Cal HR looks forward to bargaining in good faith with SEIU in the weeks ahead. The agency added that the return to work mandate could impact around 108,000 state employees who currently telework. And as of January 2025, they say about 52% of state employees work in jobs ineligible for telework, like first responders and maintenance workers.
We got to get these downtowns moving again. Got a sense of community and place.
That was the governor reiterating his support for in-person work at an unrelated press conference last month. We asked his office for an updated response to SEIU Local 1000's proposals, but did not hear back.
So if you expect us to revitalize downtown Sacramento, downtown LA, downtown Oakland, then you simply have to pay us more money.
Jenny Ha, ABC 10.
In the state legislature, there is a bipartisan bill aiming to make telework a permanent option for state employees. It is set to be heard in the Assembly Public Employment and Retirement Committee. All right, let's jump into some new polls in the governor's race, something we've been following very closely here on To The Point. There were some new polls that came out today, and they show the likely voters, also where the race stands, and it does feature those 8 leading Democratic candidates that we've been talking a lot about, as well as the top 2 Republicans. So first, a new Emerson College poll showing Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell in the lead with 17% of likely voters. Republican and former Fox News host Steve Hilton follows with 13%. Next in the pack, area Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. Then we have billionaire Democrat Tom Steyer and former Congresswoman Katie Porter. But you see there at the bottom, the largest group in the poll is still that undecided percentage of voters, 25%. And then a second poll from UC Berkeley and Politico is showing that Steve Hilton is in the lead with 19%, followed by Tom Steyer, Katie Porter, Eric Swalwell, and then Sheriff Bianco there, all clustered close together in that poll. In that survey, 17% of voters say that they are still undecided.
I think the major lesson is don't take one poll as gospel. This hasn't really, I don't think, hit the consciousness of California yet. And so I think we're waiting to see as this campaign really gears up as we head into June. Certainly that undecided vote will go down.
And political experts say all this means that the race is still very fluid. They also say both polls show one Republican and one Democrat as the likely top 2 vote getters to advance into the November runoff. That would set up a very likely win in November for Democrats. And the 8 Democrats and 2 Republicans are set to appear on the June primary. Remember, per state law, even if anyone drops out before then, their names still will be on the ballot. So don't get confused. We'll keep reminding you as we get closer to Election Day. All right, coming up right after the break, a preview of our half-hour special out in West Roseville and how the city is facing challenges of a growing community. Welcome back in. The western part of the city of Roseville is growing very fast. Thousands of homes are planned or even under construction. Traffic is increasing and schools are stretched. So tomorrow on To The Point, we're taking a look at what's being done to keep up with demand in West Roseville. Right now, I do want to bring in ABC 10's Becca Habegger, who is showing us what the city is doing to help with the traffic. We talk a lot about traffic because we know it's what you care about at home, too.
Absolutely. Well, you talk to most people living in West Roseville, and they'll tell you traffic has gotten more congested in the last few years, especially along the main arteries, including Fittiment Road, Pleasant Grove Boulevard, Blue Oaks Boulevard, and Baseline Road. Now, the city says they're well aware and working on projects to mitigate that.
And talk about some of the projects that are in the works and what you'll feature in the show as well.
Yeah, well, for example, last year, the city finished widening Pleasant Grove Boulevard, and something that will help with folks who commute for in West Sacramento or West Roseville, that is, who commute traveling from West Roseville via 99. A plan to widen parts of Baseline Road just west of Roseville city limits and install traffic signals just got about $1 million in federal funding. So that's going to make a huge difference for folks on that commute. I know that road can get really jammed up in the mornings and in the afternoons.
Yes, and I do want to mention I did sit down with the mayor as well as the city manager, not only talking about schools like we talked about with Jeannie yesterday, but also a lot of the traffic concerns there. So we'll have all the details for you. And if you can't wait any longer, you can actually watch our special right now. We have it up on our streaming app over at our ABC 10 app. That app is completely free to download for your TV. But if you do want to watch it tomorrow, don't forget 6:30 here on To The Point. We are taking you out to West Roseville. As always, thank you so much for watching, for always inviting us into your home. If you have something that you think the team and I should be looking into, you can always email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. Have a great night. I'll see you later.